with our friends at Meguiar's. And this time, instead of bringing my truck, which is gone as you know, I brought the 74 Mercedes. The paint on it is garbage. And I'm pretty sure these guys can help me put some life back into it. They're already toying with it and they already see how crappy the paint is, but today they're gonna learn me how to make it better. So let's dive in and see how to make your paint prettier.
Okay, so there's a couple of different basic options that we can look at to try and attack this paint and see what we can do to bring back some life and gloss to it. Kind of traditionally, we're going to use foam pads. This is a cutting pad. It's a little bit more aggressive. It's stiffer. It has a little bit more bite to it than the polishing pad does. There's also a finishing pad that we can talk about later for a wax application if it comes to it. And just as different liquids have different levels of aggressiveness, the pads that we use have different levels of aggressiveness.
Like sandpaper, basically,
it's
right?
very similar to, yeah. In fact, the process that we're going to do is really not all that different from wet sanding. It's just at a much finer level.
Okay.
And this is what actually brings up all the gloss and whatnot in the paint. And then we pair this with a variety of different liquids. A real traditional process would be to compound with a more aggressive liquid, a compound, with a cutting pad, and then go with a finishing polish with the polishing pad. We've got a pretty aggressive one-step. It's an all-in-one. Effectively, it's like a cleaner wax on steroids. Okay, so it cleans and polishes and protects all in one, but this has some really serious cutting power to it, and it might be an interesting experiment to see how this paint responds to that.
Have at it. It needs help.
Yeah, yes it does for a little car. But hey, you know what? It's still alive and kicking after all these years, so good for it. And then secondarily, as an option, we're going to try something that's far more aggressive, and that's to go with a two-step with our microfiber correction system. And what's interesting here is, right, we tend to think of microfiber, everybody likes microfiber towels because we think they're nice and soft and gentle on the paint. And they are, but what's really important about microfiber, what we really like microfiber for, is its ability to grab and hold on to stuff.
Okay.
Not just, the fact that it's soft on the paint is an added bonus. If you've applied a coat of wax to the car, try wiping it off with an old cotton towel,
right,
and then wipe it off with a microfiber towel.
Right.
It comes off easier with microfiber because it grabs and holds on to stuff. Well, taking that characteristic into account, we actually created these pads quite a while ago for the OEMs, in Germany actually originally, where we use microfiber instead of foam because this gives us all these strands of microfiber, and we primed this pad fully with a compound, and what that allows us to do is carry an enormous abrasive load to the paint. Because microfiber will hold on to the compound, we can put far more compound on a microfiber pad than we ever could on a foam pad. If I tried to put as much compound on this, it'd squeeze out and just make a huge mess. This will hold on to it. We encapsulate all of these microfiber strands in the compound. We carry an enormous abrasive load, and that's where we get so much more cut. And in fact, doing so, we can take a dual action polisher like our MT300 and give us almost rotary level cut without the dangers of a rotor. Okay, so this is a dual action polisher. This rotates but it also oscillates. Okay, so there's a huge safety factor built into that. And it's a very easy tool for even a novice to get very proficient with.
So that means you're not sitting there burning on a spot because it's moving around even if you're not? Is that how it works?
In a way, yes. There's also a safety factor in here. If we tip this up on its edge,
right,
if we did that with a rotary, we'd be putting just a huge amount of energy in that edge, and that's when you start burning the paint.
Okay.
If we do that with this, it'll stop the rotation and you'll lose cut.
Oh.
So it's like having it's like having anti-lock brakes. No, it's not like having it. It's I don't know. It's some safety.
It's like having a pro over your shoulder.
Yeah, pretty
saying,
much.
Don't do that.
Yeah. And in fact, don't do that because you lose cut and you won't get the process going through. And that's where a lot of people tend to make their biggest mistakes. Let me show you some of the stuff that people kind of do a little off when they do that.
Okay.
Okay. So we have this philosophy of using the least aggressive method to get the job done. A lot of times people take that a little bit too far and they're like, well, just start with the least aggressive method.
Right.
Well,
Here, is this the least aggressive method?
just about. Well, looking at this paint, we know that the least aggressive method possible is not going to fix 47 years or whatever of neglect here. So let's do this. Let's start off with a foam cutting pad, and let's start off with this one step. Admittedly, a very aggressive one step, very powerful one step. So we want to prime this pad a little bit just to get some of this product kind of dispersed through the face of this. When we do it with a microfiber, you'll see that we become much more particular about what we're doing as far as priming the pad goes. But now, we don't need to go crazy with the amount of product that we use here.
I thought you were going to make a smiley face.
I could, if that would make you
That's
happy
fine,
as well.
that's
Okay. All right, now we've got a variable speed tool here. It's not just a single speed. We actually tell you right on here, we kind of give you some guidance right on the face of the tool as to speed settings for correction. We know from experience, we've got paint that's kind of jacked up, but we also know it's single stage.
Is that a professional term?
Yes, it is. It is. And it's a polite professional.
In my professional opinion, that paint is jacked up.
It is jacked. It is jacked. We want to take it down off the jack, as it were.
Right.
All right. Yeah. But I don't want to get overly aggressive. I don't want to just lean into this thing. I'm going to start intelligently here. I'm not going to go right with everything that I can possibly throw at it. It is a single stage. 74 lacquer could still even be an enamel.
Okay.
It should be a little bit softer and more workable than a modern clear coat.
Okay.
Should be, could be, might be.
Right.
We don't know until we do this test spot.
Sure.
Okay. So we want to be very specific in what we do here, because what we're looking for right now is a baseline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So in an area roughly 2 feet square, maybe the size of one of our microfiber towels, I want to go in overlapping strokes, up and down, side to side, repeat both directions, stop.
Okay.
I know my tool speed, I know how much pressure I've used, I know how big of an area I've worked, I know how many times I've gone over it.
Okay.
Gives me a baseline, I know how the paint's responding to that input. And then we take it from there.
All right.
So that should look something like this. Because it has protection in it, a polymer protection in it, we could theoretically just go and buff out the entire car and just wipe it off when we're done. A traditional compound, you want to wipe off the residue immediately because it only does its job while it's being physically worked against the paint. We talked earlier, it's kind of like sandpaper.
Right.
Okay, if you apply a compound like a wax, if you just wipe it on and let it sit there, that's the equivalent of taking a piece of sandpaper and laying it on the paint and expecting it to do something.
Right.
It's not magic, it needs to be worked against the paint. But you can see, even with a one-step product, we've got a pretty remarkable result here.
Yeah, already.
In very, very little time. Is it perfect? No. Can it be better? Sure.
But that's impressive right out of the way.
Well, yeah, kind of is.
To me, yeah, I mean.
Well, it is to me too.
Okay,
I do
good.
this stuff all the time. But that's also partially because of the way these old single-stage paints respond.
Okay.
They're softer. They look really ugly when the upper layers of this stuff get oxidized and
Right.
chalky and everything. We're basically pulling that off, as you can see here.
Yep.
Right. If we're working on a modern clear coat, we're pulling clear as well. You just can't see it because it's clear.
Yep.
Okay. So now you have to ask, knowing the condition of this paint, and we know it's not going to be perfect,
Right.
how far do you want to go with it?
Yeah. I mean.
We can get more aggressive and maybe remove some of the stuff. There are issues in here. It looks like there's some checking in the paint. There's some really deep scratches that you can feel with your fingernail.
Right. Yep.
Okay, basic rule of thumb, if you can feel it with your fingernail, it's probably deep enough that you should not try to remove it completely.
Okay.
Okay, paint is a very, very thin film.
Right.
If you can feel it scratch with your fingernail, that's a deep scratch relative to the thickness of the paint. Can it be repaired? With a higher skill set, maybe a little bit of very light sanding and buffing, we might be able to. On a car like this, it's got such deep scratches farther back, is it really worth it? Probably not.
No. I mean, if we were going to do that, that'd be a case body shop, strip it, repaint it, fix everything. But
Yes.
we don't need to do
Yes.
that here.
Especially since the car's original,
Yeah.
and it's only original once.
Right.
You probably want to keep it that way.
Right.
But it doesn't have to look like it's been abused. We can bring it back, get some nice gloss to it. I mean, geez, the reflections. And there isn't even a reflection over here.
Who hurt you? Who hurt you?
That's good.
Who hurt you? No, I mean, I'm
That's
looking.
good. I like a relationship like that between a man and his car.
I'm looking there,
It's
and
good.
that looks incredible.
Okay, so with the microfiber cutting disc and the correction compound that we developed specifically for this disc, we're going to prime this pad fully, and we're going to try what is really quite a bit more aggressive process. With the foam pad, we apply a little bit of product and kind of prime that a little bit. With this, I want to prime this very, very thoroughly. That is not sufficient. I don't want the bare microfiber coming in contact with the paint. Okay? If we're using microfiber pads, I want this fully primed for a couple of reasons. The bare microfiber, even though we think of microfiber as being really soft, when it's used in an aggressive fashion, it can be pretty darn aggressive. And we can mar the paint if we're not fully primed. And if we're not fully primed, we're not taking full advantage of the characteristics of the microfiber. And by the way, if this really annoys you to do this by hand, if you don't like playing in the mud, a Bondo spreader or even a credit card will help to do this. But this smells like cinnamon, so it's actually kind of...
Well, people already make fun of me if I wear gloves when I'm under the hood, so I would have to do it by hand or the internet.
I will tell you,
Ridicules you.
if I'm detailing a car, if I'm working on cars all day, I'm wearing gloves. I think it's just
So
a
many
smart
different
thing to do.
compounds.
Yeah, exactly, right. And if you know, if you're doing it for a living,
Yeah.
you're exposed to so much stuff over time. It's just a smart thing to do,
Sure.
right? And eye protection, guys that wear ear protection, I tend to have my headphones on when I'm listening to whatever I'm listening to.
Taylor Swift.
Generally not. Fully primed, 3 dots of product. Back down on the paint. We're going to slow this down.
2 by
just a touch.
2.
Exactly the same as before. Want to establish that baseline and see where we're at. But otherwise, it's the same as before. And again, because we're dealing with a compound, we want to wipe this off immediately. If we let a compound dry, it just becomes very difficult to remove. This paint is very dry, so it's kind of sucking the moisture out of the compound, which is fine. We just use a little bit of a detail spray to help wipe off some of that excess that it kind of cooks in there a little bit. This hood is also quite warm.
Okay.
And ideally we want that paint to be very, very cool to the touch. What are you seeing here with your critical eye? It's your car. Where do you want this to go? This is going to require a second step,
Okay.
just so you know. This is a one-step process. This is where you balance.
Well, so my thing is I'm always supremely lazy about detailing. I've talked about this with Mike in the past.
Mhm.
That was the whole point of the truck, was something we could do quickly to make it nice. So as much as I would love to say, like, I'm going to be out there doing 2 steps,
Okay.
this looks gorgeous with 1 step. Now, in my head, I don't want to shortcut this, but I'm so impressed by the 1 step. Let's just do that and see what we can do with the 1 step. Because if I'm thinking, if there's someone else out there like me who is admittedly lazy about this sort of thing, but would like to, like, you know what, I got to spend some time and I can do it in 1 step, and I'm very impressed with that step, let's go that way.
Yeah, because there's no right or wrong answer. It's what do you want, right? Not every car is going to be flawless.
Right.
How much time do you have? What's the payoff that you're looking for? Obviously, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. We like to think that we can get you some stuff that will help you along and get you this very quickly and easily. Again, looking at the condition of the paint and the overall condition of the car, we know it's not going to be perfect.
Right.
So are you going to kill yourself trying to make it absolutely perfect, or are you going to say, you know what, let's retain some of this patina, some of this age, and give that kind of, you know, nice soft look to the car? But you're right, that's pretty darn impressive for 1 step. Which means if you're lazy, to your point, you can buzz through this pretty darn quickly and have a really dramatic result.
Yeah.
But if that's your bag, go for it, man.
You're right.
Take a day and a half.
Absolutely.
I know guys, it'll take 3 days.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
So now we're just about done with that first step with the microfiber and the D166 Ultra Polishing Wax. And that got 90% of the oxidation. It looks pretty good for 1 step. But now what we want to do is come back with our polishing foam pad on that exact same product.
Okay.
And what that's going to do is pick up any spots that we might have missed, clean up any smudges that we might have missed, and really give it an extra layer of pop and protection at the same time. So this is going to be a real easy step, really fast. The hard work's already been done.
Yeah, I mean, look at all that. That's
Yeah.
1 pad. It looks worse than it is. It looks like it's taking a lot of paint off, but it's like, you know, you cut yourself and the blood gets in the water. It's not a lot of blood. It just looks gruesome. So, all right.
Yeah, all the tips and tricks. Small pads. We got 3-inch microfiber. We're hand
It's
jiving.
not the
some
size
these
of the
spots.
pad, it's how you use it.
That's-
Easy joke. Easy joke.
He said it, not me.
All right.
Okay, back to work.
All right, this car is a different car.
Uh-huh.
The blue is darker than I knew it was.
Yep.
It's rich now. There are reflections. This is one pass, basically.
Right, right.
I mean, this is amazing. We went with the shortcut method. Not a shortcut, but
Well, we weren't going for a concourse finish on it because it's not a concourse quality color, right? I mean, it's original paint. It's aged. It's weathered. It's been neglected. It's been dinged and scraped and nicked. Okay, fine. It doesn't mean that it just needs to then, get completely cast aside and look like absolute garbage.
Right.
So
Jacked.
you're not jacked. Yeah, exactly. So we're not going to spend 12, 14 hours trying to make it perfect because it's never going to be perfect.
right.
So we looked at a one-step, we looked at the microfiber system two-step, and then ultimately what we decided on was to go with the one-step product, right, the ultra polishing wax, but we used it with the microfiber pad so that we could take the punch of this really powerful one-step,
Right.
really amp it up with the microfiber pad, do that in one pass, left a tiny little bit of haze, so we followed in about 5 minutes on the entire car
Right.
with the same ultra polishing wax on yellow foam just to clean that up real quick. And that's where we end up with this transformation. That
I mean,
we got
even you were
pretty
just
quickly.
walking around and you stepped back and were impressed with your own work.
Well, yeah, I mean, we do this day in and day out,
Right.
and yet it's still so much fun for us. It's still so cool to see this kind of stuff that, we do get a little emotional about it. You know what?
Well, I'm impressed. What can I do to sort of maintain this?
Oh, sure. At this point, pretty much what you would do with any other car. You want to wash it regularly. You want to wax it regularly because we've got old single-stage paint that has been pretty heavily oxidized. So it's a little bit more susceptible to that than a modern clear coat. The fastest and easiest way, because I know you like that kind of thing, our Ultimate Waterless Wash and Wax is a great way to clean it up, add some polymer protection to it at the same time.
Okay.
Or something like our Ultimate Quick Wax, just spray, wipe
Walk away.
after you clean it.
Yeah,
Clean
right.
it. But then Ultimate Quick Wax, spray it, wipe it, and it will leave a really, really nice durable polymer protection on here to keep this looking like this for quite a while.
Okay. Well, there we go. I mean, this has been an amazing transformation. Can't wait to see what it looks like in the sun too. Actually out there in the
absolutely.
real
Sure,
light. 'Cause
sure.
these lights are always amazing, and I don't know. I'm very impressed. You guys did an amazing job.
Well, thanks. The color change is always the fun thing with single stage
Right?
paint.
Yeah.
It changes it completely.
It's wild.
Yeah. It's crazy.
There you go.
Can't tell you how many times. And there it is.
Outtakes.
Yeah. Top tip, make sure that's gone so you can get product out of the bottle. Otherwise, the frustration. Oh, and this smells so good too.
It does or it doesn't?
It does.
Oh, okay.
It smells really good. So we're going to get just a bit of this onto the pad. I'm going to work this. I don't see. I told you. I'm not going to lie to you about this stuff. Yeah. It's all part of the user experience.
Okay.
Right? Whatever I'm listening to.
Taylor Swift.
Generally not. I will admit that I have been known to, but that's generally not my go-to.
Oh, this accidentally came on the radio. I guess we can leave it on.
No. Lovely young lady, but that's not where I'm necessarily going when I'm...
So now with this, we gotta shake it off. Shake it off. Sorry, it's Taylor Swift.
Wow. No. No.
I hate myself for that.
You should.
Yep.
You should. I may have to go get the other guy and continue working here.
We're doing your car now, Josh.
All right.